Hi and welcome to the next tutorial. In today's lesson we'll learn how to recreate this double exposure look using Photoshop and After Effects. So anyways guys, let's jump in. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to download your assets, and this picture here I've downloaded from Pexels, but you're free to use any that you'd like. The reason why I chose this picture is because the subject and the background are very contrasting, so it makes it easy to cut out. Now the easiest way to cut this out is to come over here to our object selection tool, and all we need to do is drag a box around the subject. Now most of the times, you know, Photoshop is going to be pretty smart and it can pick up and come up with the edges really nicely. But in this case, we want to actually just make it and fine tune it a little bit more. So what we need to do is we just need to increase a few of the things. So we're just going to increase the radius up to about 5 pixels. We're also going to smooth it. So we're going to increase that to about, let's say, 20. The feather we're not going to touch, but the contrast we are also going to bring that up to probably about 40%, and the shift edge we are just going to bring down, let's say -5. And so now we've got these really sharp lines that are still smooth, and to me it looks alright. Like we can go in and do a little bit more, but you know, I think it's fine for the actual job here. So we're just going to press OK. Now all I need to do is press Ctrl C to copy it, and then Ctrl V to paste it to a new layer. And now when I un-eye the background, now all I need to do is save that as a PNG and import it into After Effects. So all we have to do is just go to File, Save As PNG. So now we're in After Effects, and I've imported my subject over here, but I've also downloaded another video from Pexels. Now this video is a traffic video, which is kinda quite busy, and it will work really well in this double exposure scenario. So what we need to do is we need to create a new composition. We are going to create a 1920 by 1080 comp. I'm gonna leave the frame rate at that, and the time we'll fix up a little bit later. So now once I've got my composition, I need to drag my subject into the composition. And so now we've got a really big file, and so I'm just gonna hold shift and make it a little bit smaller. All right, so now I'm just gonna place him over on this side. I then am going to drag my busy traffic shot, so you can see the traffic video there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just also going to add some text. So I'm just going to come over here, press on the T tool, and I want to use a thick text. So I'm using Azo Sans Black. And I'm just going to make that a little bit smaller. So let's go to about 250, and I'm just going to put it in the middle somewhere over there. So I'm just going to move this picture probably till maybe just about there, something like that. So now we're ready to actually trim this comp a little bit shorter. So we're going to do something around about 5 seconds. So we're going to right click and then trim comp to work area. So now we're ready for the actual double exposure technique. And so to do this, I'm just going to grab these two layers and I'm going to pre-compose them. I'm just going to press OK. And now that I've pre-composed them, the next thing that you need to do is you need to come over here to the track matte, and you need to select alpha. Now if you don't have that, you just have to click this button over here, which will toggle switches. So come over here and click your alpha matte, and now you've got a nice looking, you know, video that plays through the silhouette of the subject that we had before. So now what we need to do is we need to duplicate this layer by pressing Ctrl D, and then I'm going to come over here and grab the pen tool. And what I want to do is first I'm going to turn the eye on. I just want to create a very simple mask around, you know, the edge of his face. So probably to about there. And then I'm just going to join it back up. And I'm going to create another mask over this text. And I'm just going to put it like that. So now with those both masks ready, I'm just going to press F to activate the feather. And on the first mask, this orange one, I'm going to bring that up until it starts to, you know, like just become a little bit blurry in there. So I'm probably going to bring it up to maybe even 500, something like that. And this other mask, I'm not going to bring up as much, but maybe something like 150. So you can see that the feather it's still working there, but it's not as visible up here. So now that I've got that, and now if I just, preview that, you can see here that, the video is playing and you can still see a little bit of his eyes and his nose and this outline. And if you don't like that mask value, you can always come back and drop it down to something that you like. So moving on to the next step, what we need to do is we need to create a new solid. And I'm just going to keep it as white for now. It doesn't really matter about the color. I'm just going to drop it all the way to the bottom. And I'm just going to go over here to my effects and presets, and I'm going to add a gradient. I'm going to add the gradient ramp effect on here. So now we've got our gradient ramp up. All we need to do is select the colors. So I've gone to this website, UI Gradients, and I found my gradient that I'm going to use, and all I'm going to do is just copy and paste these color values. So once you've done that, then you can set the start and end of the ramps, and you can play around with some of the settings there. So anyways, I'm pretty happy with that, how it's looking. So now I'm going to move on to the final step. So once we've got that all done, what we need to do is we just need to give it a bit more movement. So we can do this by creating a new null object, and we're just going to grab the pre-comp and drag it, both the pre-comps, to the null object. And then what we are going to do is we are just going to hit S for scale on our keyboard. We are going to set a keyframe at the start of this clip. We're going to move all the way to the end of the clip, and we're going to increase it to 115. Now you want to be careful that the E doesn't actually come off the edge of this composition. But if you do that correctly, then you can see here that now we've given it that little bit of movement. So we're going to keep adding to it. The next thing that we can do is we can actually go and we can pre-compose all of these items. We'll leave the background by itself. So we'll create another pre-composition, just call it pre-comp 2. And we'll come over here and we'll search for an effect called light rays. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to double click it, make sure I'm on the pre-comp. And you can see over here that wherever there's light that's shining through, now it's got that, it creates that light ray, kind of effect. And that's looking pretty cool as is. So, I mean, you can leave it like that really if you want. You can change the intensity over here if you like, or change the radius. You can get some really cool kind of, looking things there. But what we're going to do is we're just going to actually animate this, and we're going to put it on this light area. So we're going to start at this point. So we're going to set a keyframe over there, and we're just going to bring it back, and we're just going to drag it to the edge of the comp. So now you can see here that it's like the sun that's going through, and you can see as soon as it starts to get through that metal bit over here, the light rays comes through. And yeah, and that's about it. So anyways guys, then you can save your projects, you can render it out, you can do whatever you need to do. But yeah, that's about it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.